but we've been getting everything important before, and we'll try to get done on time.
Don't do it on my part.
Okay, approval of the October 1 minutes.
I'll move that we approve the October 1, 2012 minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Craig,
Yes, ma'am.
I wasn't here, so I don't know if this really happened, but paragraph 4,
4, yes.
the second paragraph,
You reported that.
keep going.
And the fee now is being sent into service due to filler leak. Yeah, actually, I should right. It's the fuel filler. Okay, it was with the assistance. Yeah, you crossed that out right there. We'll take that. That's a carryover.
Right, there was, I think, another.
Oh, it is first.
Okay, paragraph 9, last page.
Okay.
First paragraph, last line.
You were trying to count?
You want to take out the 2?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, maybe somebody's got something substantive to say about this.
First substantive.
Someone who was here. Any other corrections? All in favor of approving the October 1 minutes?
That's correct.
Okay, additions and deletions to the agenda. Did you try to get
I did. She won't be. She has a meeting, community meeting tonight. But we had a good long talk, and she's going to try to round up. Maybe come to the next budget meeting next week.
Oh,
Or at least
okay.
present some things. She was going to talk to some people out there to see if West Townsend has some infrastructure needs or wants to discuss things with the board with regard to the fiscal year budget coming.
Well, that would be a good first step. The second step is I want to know what they're doing out there.
Well, there's that too. And she apologized. She would like to come. She'd like to come to the next one, but they have a community meeting tonight.
How about Arthur, Planning Commission?
I didn't ask him to come tonight.
Oh, would you
But I
make
did ask him about the budget. So he's working on the budget.
well? Would you make a note to ask him to come to the next one? Is he going to be in town for the next one? Okay. Somewhere in here, we don't have a miscellaneous place.
You have other business.
Okay, under other business, let's put VCTV award. Any other additions, deletions? Okay, we're up to the warrants. And
It's only a question.
And that one I'm not going to sign.
why is that?
Because I'm getting money off of it.
Oh, okay. Beaver deceiver. Equipment.
And that's actually the last of the beaver receiver equipment that we're going to be buying. We've got 4 of them built. 2 of them are in place. The other 2 are going to be going in.
Do we have 4 beavers in town?
We have 4 places that beavers are causing us grief.
Okay. Do we know about all of the GPT maintenance
GPT maintenance, that is the Holland Brigham Bixby Cemetery and the 2 sites in back here, and they're all finished.
And that's his contract?
And looking
price?
okay.
And that's his contract price.
That's what I thought it was.
And
Plus the addition from last week.
plus the $300 addition to
What they had to,
what they had to do to move the lumber out. And once that's signed, I'm gonna get a copy of those invoices and the front page, and with a form that I need Charlie to sign, then we'll send everything up to Colchester, and NRCS will cut us a reimbursement check.
Why do you need Charlie to sign it?
Because Charlie is the signatory for those projects.
Oh, okay.
So he's going to be
Okay.
signing saying that the projects are essentially complete. And our signatures on there showing that he's been paid.
I
Well,
can
then-
also give you a copy of the check stub if you want
Right.
to wait until
That
they
will-
actually issue the check. And, I mean, sometimes they ask for a copy of a canceled check, but I'm assuming,
And we
Just
can,
a
we can wait
copy
until
of the check will
Wednesday,
be-
and Wednesday night, Wednesday after, during the day, I'll come in and get that, and we'll send that off to Colchester, so that we can get reimbursement coming back.
Okay. He was concerned that signing that was signing off that that was an appropriate cemetery right away. And he says it's not. We can talk about that during cemetery
And that's-
rights of way.
Doesn't specify that that's a cemetery right away, that just specifies that the job has been completed, that this, and the engineers from the Natural Resources Conservation Service have signed off on the work. And Charlie has specified that the work is okay. He would like to see some of the lumber that's laying beside the brook used to keep people from driving off into there where it's newly seeded. And so I'll talk to Dale to get that done. And then, but in any event, his signature on this isn't for the right of way. This is
Right,
for
okay.
completing the work so that we can get reimbursed.
I think we can send this to the team.
We still need a motion.
he's getting ambulance something on that one too?
This one.
No, that's a statement.
Right,
That's
that's-
right, that's an accumulation of, yeah.
Well, it's 'cause it's in there.
That's a
Are
total,
we
right,
expecting
yeah,
Kurt?
that's the total.
We're not
The
expecting
ambulance
Kurt tonight.
would equal
Oh, okay.
that, yeah.
And why is that?
Because he is home taking care of children.
So I would make a motion that we approve warrant number 10154 for the Highway Fund, October 4th through November 5th, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
because we don't need him until the 5th, so
For the
anything that's
amount of
due between now and then.
$35,781.62. The motion. Motion made and seconded. Discussion, further discussion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Any abstentions?
I'm abstaining.
Yeah, do
yeah.
the first part, I'll do the second part.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve warrant number 10155 for the Town Equipment Fund, October 4th through November 5th, 2012.
All in favor?
Uh,
Oh, no,
discussion
you need a
first.
second.
How much?
How much?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's been revised. There was, and you guys that have signed it haven't seen this, but there was a statement that was inadvertently left out of the total. So the total that you signed was $7,059.94, when in actuality the total is $14,965.59.
Well, that's quite a little difference.
and that includes diesel payments. That one was left off. So it's a revised total.
Okay, was there a second?
Yes, it is.
It's still using Pearl Head.
No, the statement says Coda and Coda, but then over in the corner it says Curly.
Was there a second to the motion? All in favor?
I would make a motion that we approve warrant number 10153 of the town general fund, October 5th through November 5th, in an amount of $11,026.63.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Make a motion that we approve warrant number 10156 of the town general fund, October 17th through October 17th, in an amount of $1,060.10.
Tax refunds.
That's the tax refund.
Yeah, most of the homeowners on there paid their first payment, then they received their prebate from the state of Vermont, which then resulted in them getting a credit. Because they were late filers for the homestead. So that's why they're getting those back.
Is there a second on that one?
I'll second.
All in favor?
You abstain? Not asking that. Check warrant, approve 10151, period through 9/23 through 10/6/2012, $9,331.11. This payroll.
And Jeff seconded it. All in favor?
Warrant number 10152, the direct pays of town general fund in an amount of $3,157.10. Federal tax.
Federal taxes, no?
Did you second that? Yeah. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Apparently Kurt won't be here, so Highway Commissioners report.
We're continuing to chase some problems with the trucks. As I said earlier, the last two beaver deceivers, all the supplies have been purchased. Those are built, waiting to be installed. Sand, as you've seen, sand has been ordered. Sand and salt is in the salt shed. They're continuing to do maintenance. The vehicle that went out that had the saddles replaced on the rear axle, from the rear axle shifting, it's now, it's being actually put back together from completing a brake job on it. So we're just trying to gear everything up and get everything ready for winter time. And at the same time, we're continuing to work on the budget, trying to get the number of culverts that we want to replace, be able to bring to the select board what roads we want to actively work on, and obviously after having the sign inventory done, we'll have to do a sign inventory. So we still have a lot of balls that we're juggling up in the air, but we should have them ready for the select board by early November.
Okay.
I noticed that the letter from Better Back Roads grant, are we applying for any of that this year?
We are going to, I apologize, I haven't had time to look at the letter.
It
Well,
just,
No
it just came
apology
today.
necessary, just came.
It just came today.
Yes.
Okay, it's Better Back Roads grant, I don't know if you
Well,
guys
but it
have talked
also
about
says
yet
that
or
they're
not.
doing a whole different process, doesn't it?
Yes, but yes,
Because they're not sure what they've got or what's going on. They need to clarify some stuff first.
Right, but it's an invitation to begin the
Yeah.
application process.
Yeah, okay.
so, yes, we are going to be attempting to take advantage of that.
Well, I don't know if there was anything that you had specifically in mind, some specific area, but I might be a little bit premature to.
No, not really. I mean, we've talked about the fact that large sections of State Forest Road need some assistance. That was, last year, it got beat up considerably. It needs a deeper underlayment. It needs some underdrain. There are quite a few of the culverts that we've looked at there that need to be replaced. There are sections of West Hill Road that, where the gravel, the top course of gravel effectively isn't there. So, you know, we need to determine how many years one of these roads is going to last and cut the town up. If the gravel road lasts 10 years, then we should be doing a certain amount of work on it every 10 years to keep it from getting in this bad a shape. So we've outlined 3 of them on the maps up at the town garage that we're going to be trying to estimate the amount of workload. However, we'll use some of the knowledge that we gained from rebuilding East Hill Road to help us with that budgetary, and it may be something that we just decide that we've got to limp through another year until we can start hitting this. But that's where we're going.
Townsend Acres, too.
Townsend Acres is another one.
All the culverts that put in the same time.
Kurt did mention today when he was in, we were talking about the budget, something about a big culvert on Grafton Road.
There are 3 large culverts. One is on Grafton Road that needs to be looked at. Actually, there are 4. One is on Grafton Road that needs to be looked at. The culvert at the top of East Hill Road that has caused East Hill Road to wash out twice. That's something that probably is not going to be in the budget for next year, but it's something that we're going to have to bring to the select board to look at. If it's upgraded, then the culvert at the bottom of Plum Hill Road, which carries the same stream and therefore the same stream volume, we're going to have to look at doing something to increase its water flow, its capacity. And there's a pond up on Deer Valley Road, a beaver pond up on Deer Valley Road, that it's one of the sites that we're going to try to put a beaver deceiver at, but it has such a large watershed that they're now calling for it to, the hydraulic study is calling for it to be a box culvert. So these are things that we're going to be bringing so that we can put on the extended plan.
I think one of my concerns was, remember when we done that ride up over back road to Wyndham, is that big culvert up there. And I don't know if we were going to try to do something before winter set in or not, but I think it's a dangerous spot.
That one was,
They did fix it.
they fixed that one. They've got some temporary measures in place. They brought in some gravel. And yeah, we need, as part of this culvert inventory, we need to go through and take a real hard look at all of our culverts, our culvert inventory, the road inventory. There are quite a few sections of road where you get to one of the older culverts and the road is narrowed. And so we need to look at those and determine what do we need to do. There are several places on State Forest Road where the road is narrowed and back Wyndham, because the trees have continued to grow and get wider.
Yeah.
And they should have been taken down years ago, but they weren't, and now they're starting to encroach upon the plowing and the maintenance of the road. But if we
Just
take...
a lot of those roots are holding the road too.
A lot of those roots are holding the road, so these are all discussion items that the town and the select board needs to have time to discuss before we start doing the maintenance and as we start planning the budget.
Well, when I saw the better back roads, the first thing that entered my mind was that one on back road to Wyndham, because I think that road needs some rip rock and shoring.
Right. And
That way, some cribbing.
a dense layer of gravel, some cribbing, a dense layer of gravel, and then the fine layer on top to follow the standard. And we also might want to start, one of the other budgetary items that we're looking at is the guardrails.
Yeah.
So, quite a few plates that we've got spinning, and we're gonna get a budget together, and this is gonna be 8 to 10 years before we get a handle on it.
Yep.
So, but we'll have more information.
Anybody have any questions? Chad, did you have anything to add?
No?
Okay,
Like, I'm gonna contact you guys are gonna talk about.
Yeah. I don't see any law enforcement folks here to give us a report.
I didn't know touch base with.
Sheriff Clark was supposed to be coming to talk about that Collins Springs. Deputy Cook had indicated twice that he'd try to get him here for this meeting.
So he may show up yet, so we
Yeah, they show up, yeah.
Okay, well,
It's on further down in the agenda as well.
right, okay. No health officer. Does anybody know what's going on with that property in West Townsend that needs cleaning up?
We should be receiving a report shortly on it.
Good. Okay. And we've all seen the town clerk's over-the-counter money report. I guess that gets us up to the bookkeeper and treasurer.
Okay, just to follow up on the last meeting, I did call CVPS about the smart meters and took care of that.
What do you mean took care of that?
Well, opted out of the smart meter
Okay.
that- for everything, well, except for the streetlights. They wouldn't have the smart meters, and then we'll see how it goes, and I'm assuming at some point they're gonna force you to do it, but we'll see what happens. And the current year taxes, the first payment, we did have some more come in, so we're down around 5% still outstanding, which is normally what we end up at. A little over 443,000 in the checking account. And that's all I have.
Are we anywhere, and excuse me, but I've looked, but are there any properties or anything that are in line for tax sale or anything like that? 'Cause there
I have
were
not
some-
heard, and I have not heard any noise whether Becky's
Okay.
got anything.
You
But
want
do you
a
know?
list, I can get you a list of who's delinquent, and you can see if you want
Just to
it.
see how long they're carried out. I don't need it right now, Joe, I know that, each meeting we talk about, we're still like 5% out and that
Well,
sort
that's
of
on
thing.
the,
and I
that's
don't-
on the,
That's
that's
on
on
the
this
current,
year's,
that's on
right?
this year's.
Yeah.
And so what comes to mind is how many,
What about
how much is
last
outstanding on last year, the year before, the year before.
Okay, I can get you
So
that
maybe
as
at
part
the
of
next
mine.
meeting, if we just have some idea,
Yeah.
because we're starting our budget process, so if we've got some idea at least where we are and how many are habitually over the years, I mean, you kind of take that into consideration when we're
Maybe
doing,
ask Becky if she has.
well, I don't know, I mean, that's a little bit of information.
I think
Like last time
we're, I
she-
want to say, we just looked at that, 153,000
Yeah,
in
it's quite,
delinquent
it's
taxes.
a pretty good chunk, that's why, over 153, I was thinking 100 and something, but
Yeah,
153 is a lot.
Yeah, Becky's been pretty good at.
Yeah,
with it, and-
and I don't know, I don't think I have to get too aggressive, but I just thought for information purposes.
Yeah, no, I don't think we will either, but it'd be good to know.
yeah, I can make that
Sure.
as part of my report, because, I have the delinquent tax balances. Of course, I won't have, how close she is on,
Yep.
putting something up for
Yeah, I
tax
mean, if
sale,
it
but-
comes, I think that if it comes, well, we're at 150,000, we might want to ask her, or at least us, we may want to look at who's where and who owes what. We want to ask her to come in to see if she's going to take any action or anything.
No, I'm sure she will.
Like I said, that's it for me. We'll work on budget. I'll get you, an updated report before next Tuesday. As we had discussed, I will fill in as many more of the other categories that I feel comfortable doing, and then we'll go from there.
We're meeting next Tuesday.
October
23rd.
23rd. I forgot.
Oh, okay.
At 5:30.
I got
Yes.
6 o'clock, but you want to do 5:30?
5:30 works for me, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that too early for you? No?
I can get there.
You have time to get pizza?
And if we're a little bit
I'll
late,
stop and get pizza.
if we're a little bit late, then.
Okay.
Okay, something just occurred to me, and I don't know whether it got settled while I was out. I didn't get the impression from the minutes that Humane Society should be under old business.
It's under
I have
correspondence.
it in the correspondence.
Oh, okay.
Because
That
actually,
works.
actually it did come in the day of the last meeting, I
Yeah.
believe.
Okay.
But nobody had time to look at it.
Okay. Emergency management report.
Emergency management report, not much to discuss. The poker walk went without a hitch. Wyndham County CERT and the Wyndham County Sheriffs provided traffic control and monitoring. And by putting up the cones and signage for this weekend, everything seemed to work well, and I used one of the signs to keep people from parking on the sidewalk and cones for the rest of them, so that seemed to work. And we didn't have any major problems, so we'll just continue to be part of the after-action review to see what the Townsend Business Association felt went well, what they felt we could do better. Where improvements can be made, and we'll start the planning for next year. And as always, keep moving forward.
Okay. I noticed they've left one of their signs lying in the grass up on Route 35.
Hospital. Walk in progress.
Yeah, I can stop and pick that up.
It's right at Carhart, Catherine's, or just before that, between
You
there.
do the same thing I do, huh?
Yeah,
I always start with Carhartt and then,
I have to work my way.
I can stop and pick that up.
okay, anything else?
No?
In that case, Bob, in record time,
I'm here,
why don't you come on up?
Come up to the table.
I'm here to answer any questions about fire doors. I understand that we did have some contractors stop by and pick up the drawings, but I don't know that we've got any submissions as of yet.
As of now, we do not. No proposals have come in as of today. But two contractors have picked up and reviewed the drawings, and one of them, I believe, is touch base over the weekend with the architect.
Okay.
I know we talked to Ms. Garfield, so I don't know where that one stands, and the other one, I don't know where it stands at all. But anyway, I know two of them have it. And hopefully by within the next week or so, we'll get something before the board, or have something to look at. Time's getting short.
So it was good that we've got some local contractors interested.
Good. Anybody, any questions for Bob?
How was the pumpkin
Thanks.
festival?
Thanks for coming.
Informally, the cones and the signs were a big help. I think it really controlled the traffic. It was moderated, rather than having people blasting through, they at least knew that something was coming before they got to it, so it was
Have you heard
appreciated.
how, whether it was worth the effort?
Well, you bet it was, absolutely. It was much better than normal, because without those signs, people don't expect it necessarily coming around a corner, so I think it's much safer for everyone attending the festival, it's better for everyone.
Actually, I was intending, did the majority of the vendors make money? Was it a successful festival?
I did an informal survey, and virtually every vendor was happy. It was good weather, they had a lot of traffic. There were 2 vendors that expressed a little bit of reserve, because one vendor had very expensive items, and the week before they sold several in Newfane, but they hadn't sold any at this pumpkin festival. And the other vendor had handmade items, and she didn't think she was competing well with people who were selling machine-made items. Those are the only 2 complaints. And again, maybe they need to do better marketing, I don't know.
And no control over that.
Yeah, exactly. So most everyone was really happy. They thought there were a lot of folks who were interested. So it was a good day, very good day. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Okay, Humane Society.
Look, members of the public?
Oh.
Well, if you're sitting here, you are a public.
You have to give it a card check.
Just sitting.
Cynthia, you're not hiding there behind the door, are you?
No.
We could get a card made for Cynthia that says Cynthia Davis, just sitting.
I can't see her behind the fire extinguisher. You camera shy.
Face is the same color as the fire extinguisher. I said the face is the same color as the fire extinguisher.
Oh, I bet we would.
But you gotta come over here and say it. You gotta come right up to the table.
Okay, Humane Society. Quit picking on Cynthia. That's so
much fun.
It is so much fun, she's so easy.
Where are we with the contract for them?
I think the last meeting, we had copies of it, and we were to look at it, and it wasn't a proposed contract for us, it was a sample contract, am I correct?
Yes.
It has what had been done in the past. I don't think as of yet we have a proposed contract from them. And I think that we were going to discuss where we were at, and what we wanted to do, and that sort of thing. And I'd like to, personally, I'd like to see a proposed contract from them, but I think before they can do that, we have to tell them what we need them for and what our expectations, what kind of participation we want from them. And I looked through that old one, there's some things that may apply, and there's a few that I don't think apply. But what came to mind at that point in time was we ought to at least involve our constables, both of them, in this outlining of proposals, because they're kind of the ones that point people that get it. And I don't know, it may behoove one of us to sit down with the constables and say, what do we want and need, and then bring it back to the board, and then go to them, or, at least start a dialogue somehow of what our town needs are, and how that interfaces and interacts, and probably at least also include the sheriff's department, because they're knowledgeable and experienced in other towns and that kind of thing. Before we...
Well, they've been involved.
Yeah, they've been involved. Or you could just say, the Humane Society will send us a contract, see what it says. Either one, it don't matter to me. And I think, but we ought to look and see what do we want, what do we,
Yeah.
but you can say to the Humane Society also, you know, what services are you offering at what cost? And we can sit and look and say, well, we could use this service and it might be beneficial, but not this one. I mean, I don't know how to do it.
I agree with the need to bring the constables into the loop, since they're the ones that are gonna be dealing with the animals.
Oh, yeah, it makes perfectly good sense.
And
So-
the sheriff's department might also have some input as to what need they see from other towns that,
Well, why don't we get an updated contract and then maybe we can get the constable and look at it. If they want them to change. Or add it, or delete it, or whatever.
Well, I think we could get them to them a couple days before our meeting so that they have a
I can
chance.
get it, yeah, if we can get one.
Probably very similar to this one.
I would think.
Well, yeah, and outlining what their service, what they're offering for services and the cost of them.
And if not, you can show them this one, Craig. and-
Because this services, if they're cost effective and, you know, that we might like to have that may not be expensive, say, okay, let's try it and see how it works. But a lot of it's gonna hinge on what's it gonna cost.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
yeah. Okay, is somebody willing to sit down with the constables and,
Well, I guess our first step is you're gonna get a contract from the Humane Society.
I've actually called, I thought that we would have one by now, and obviously we don't.
Okay.
What I was seeing in there was the 1% lending, that's last year's contract, but a new one had come, but it hasn't.
I mean, I'd be happy to, but I think that the sheriff's department may want to be a part of that. And Jeff
Well,
is the liaison. I mean, I don't care. I'd be happy to do it. Maybe between the both of us, we might get something done.
And the sheriff had vetted all this out, they actually offered a contract 2 years ago, and then they rescinded it because they realized that was actually something they couldn't do with regard to animal control, apparently.
well, I think
But they actually did go through that step-by-step process of
Reading
looking
about
at
that,
it.
yeah.
And so they're pretty familiar, Sheriff Clark is pretty familiar with that whole.
So I'm happy to sit down with them. You know, if we get a
So-
contract.
I'll see what I can get, I'll get one.
I'll get a
See what
hold of-
we can get together.
The constable will sit and look at it, maybe by next meeting, we've at least got some idea. The cost is gonna be one of the writing factors.
well, I think also, are they willing and able to provide services that we can't, or that would be a great cost to us?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't think it's a big thing, so I guess between us
I'll be
and
in touch with you.
next
I'll also-
meeting, we
yeah.
can make it work. Come on.
Okay, East Hill Road project update.
East Hill Road, we have tentative agreement that our plan looks good from Vermont Department of Transportation. However, in the last email, they want quantities that we're gonna be replacing. So I've asked Mr. Sanderson from Stevens Associates to provide us some assistance and or at least a direction to go look at so that we can provide Agency of Transportation the quantities of each type of gravel and the amount, the number of trees that are going to be removed. At that point, then we can get it sent to FEMA. Everybody at the state recommends that we wait until FEMA gives us tacit approval before we move forward with putting the project out to bid. However, it seems counterproductive, and we discussed it during the closeout meeting, that you can't do any of the change orders until you get the quantities back from the contractor that's awarded the bid so that you know what he's actually planning to use. However, I understand that FEMA wants to work in this fashion, so therefore that's where we're at. I apologize to the board. Feels like dragging a logging train uphill, but we're still moving forward, and the project still has a completion date of March 31st, 2013, and we have asked for a 12-month extension.
I think we should definitely wait since the alignment's just a little bit different.
The alignment's just a little bit different, so.
Yeah, I think based on our experience and the experience of other towns, until you have the go-ahead from FEMA, you're taking a risk.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not a very big change, but it's a change from the PW that they wrote.
Well, I think
And
that's
so-
why they weren't following these, did, right? The AOT.
AOT.
Right, it's for, right, yeah, so.
So, and the personnel from AOT that are requesting the quantities are, there are effectively 3 liaisons between the state of Vermont and Region 1 FEMA. And so these 2 individuals from AOT are 2 of the 3 liaisons. So they're just wanting to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row. So that is where we're at, and I'll continue to push it.
Thank you. Mexico evaluation.
Mike Bell's chair of the Listers sends his apologies, he could not make it tonight. He stopped down with this listing and thought that we all should have it, at least somewhere in the records, of the reevaluation and the differences. And he explained to me that it was a mathematical error on the lister's part when they came up with, that's the difference in the listing. So when they sat down to do let me get the first one, for the grand list was $14,733,071. There was a transfer error in their addition when they added everything together. And it should actually be $14,634,371 appraisal, so it's a difference of $98,700 in the grand list. I discussed it a little bit with him just to satisfy my own whatever, I guess, but you know, there's essentially nothing we can do. I mean, there was an error and there was an error, but so we have to, or we ought to at least, or I will make a motion that we approve errors and omissions on the Transco evaluation to read $14,634,371.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That's for the other state. Yeah, yeah.
Cemetery rights of way. Our main concern right now is the Holland Brigham Bixby Cemetery. And we were waiting for the repair work to get done on that cemetery to see whether that might produce a right-of-way that would work on a continuing basis for the Cemetery Commission. And it definitely doesn't, from what Charlie describes. It stops at a cliff. And they would still have to build a bridge. And he's not interested in building a bridge. Over Fair Brooks, Cynthia.
Fairbrook is, I thought Fairbrook was the north. This was the brook that's coming down over Wiswall Hill. Fairbrook is up by the Townsend Dam.
Yeah, but where does it go? Does it just run into the West River?
It runs into the West River,
Okay, so
just south of the fish line. The fish,
Summer,
Okay, so this is
summer,
the
right,
different-
goes under, right.
This is a different brook then,
this is the brook that comes down from Wiswall Hill.
okay? There would need to be a bridge over it if you went to the cemetery from that angle, so we're still working on that.
We do have access to the site for the hazard mitigation, and we've got, the paperwork has been signed by the attorney, who has power of attorney to give the town access to that site for the next 10 years. But that's only to the cemeteries from the site that was where we did the work. So the access, right-of-way access needed by the cemetery commission is not included in that.
Yeah. Okay.
So as that's left, then it's the cemetery's quadrant, if you will, to try to find the rights of way to that, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I guess I'm just looking to see where is our responsibility from here on lay? And I think it's now it's up to the cemetery commission to continue.
well, not really. I mean, they're very clear about where they would like the right-of-way.
Mm-hmm.
The landowner is just as clear that that's not where she would like it. So there's going to be a little haggling going on there, possibly with her attorney, which might make it a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
But
So that's
To get-
in process,
to
so
get-
we're
yeah,
just, we're
that's
just
in
gonna sit
process.
and let it work itself out.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I have been to all these cemeteries with Charlie, and I'm familiar with what he wants and where we are with them. And that one I'm particularly familiar with. And I can tell you, I wouldn't want to climb that cliff with a weed whacker or something. Okay, Dam Road trees.
Nobody told her. It's
Are
supposed to
we,
be,
are we talking about Bose trees or?
Yeah.
Yes, they're in progress, right?
they're in progress and
You ain't planted yet?
they're supposed to be planting them. And driven out there to look, see if they planted them yet.
You said, yeah, this fall, I mean,
Well, yeah,
It's just
it should be
coming into season.
anytime soon, but.
But you gave Newfane Greenhouse the go-ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Told them that, go get.
that was pretty much taken care of at the last meeting. I kept it on here just as an update.
No,
And it was contingent, the motion was contingent on getting an end agreement with the Royces, saying that when these are planted and they get the guarantee from Newfane that the municipality has
Yeah.
completed its obligation.
Well, we don't have that, right? It is,
We know about that.
Okay, well, let's leave it on there until we know they're planted. And we have the end agreement signed.
are we making the end agreement?
We're gonna need to make the.
Yes.
Yeah, so we can't do that till we're in the ground.
We can,
Well, we can draw it up.
we can draw it up,
And
we
we
just
should
can't get
draw
it
that
signed.
up now, and then we can put, maybe leave it blank for the number of X amount of trees and X amount of whatever has been planted and
To their satisfaction.
residents
And ours.
sign off, and then we sign off, and then that can be put to bed. So we don't have to draw.
We just don't want this to be an ongoing.
No.
No, that's why we gotta draw this up, how do you do that?
We can use a form similar to what we used when we signed an agreement with them to use their land. So what I'll do is I'll type one up and send it to you,
Alright.
and we can work through that process.
Okay, Grafton Turn and gravel pit timber.
leave it. I don't think
It's not
it's anything pressing. We've
I
got
don't
all
think
winter.
anyone want to do it till then.
No, that's what I said, we've got winter.
I'll try to get him to do it before too many days he's coming to, so.
Won't be till after deer season.
Yeah.
While we're on the gravel pit subject, did any more get discussed when I wasn't here about, any kind of an ordinance or
No,
signs or gates or anything at the gravel pit?
I guess it.
I think not at the last meeting, but check the minutes of the meeting before.
We talked to the constable about it, right? Didn't we?
Yeah, but we also decided we didn't want to do any gating or anything at this point in time.
But we made the select,
But
constable
the
and
constable was
And
here,
the
the
sheriff,
constable was
the
back
sheriff
here.
department was here, and they were, I think that the last meeting we feel that there were people in town, no, maybe it was at the.
The budget meeting.
Was that a budget meeting?
So
Because
will
I went
will
down
you
there.
say what you did then, so it can become a matter of a minute?
Yeah, I was, approached by a resident from Harmonville. And, he's pretty much just sick of the shooting going on in the pit, and this particular situation, they were shooting up until and after dark. And, it was more than, sighting in a hunting rifle, it was, you know, like automatic weapons fire, and it just went on for hours and well into probably this time of night when it was dark. And his main concern was saying anything about it because he didn't want any retaliation.
Wandering in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And at the budget meeting, which
And I
you
think
weren't
he
at,
also means,
I did reflect that after the emergency management meeting, I went down there because we heard gunfire, but decided not to confront anybody because it was all headlights and I didn't know who I was likely to find. So,
what he means by retaliation is also, you know, somebody come to his house and yelling at him, and also the abuse that he'd probably get in the letterbox of the Commons in the Bradbury Corner for
Yes.
saying anything about firearm issue. But my personal feeling is no more firing in the pit. There's no reason the residents around the pit have to listen to gunfire. Some of these guys may have work at night, and then when there's not gunfire, you got the backhoe down, or the buckload down there working with the backup alarm beeping, so they don't get any reprieve at all. You know, so it is 2012. You want to shoot guns, go to the gun range.
So at this point, we're going to depend on the constable and the deputy to deal with it. Okay.
I think, and I just, you know, again, I think it's abusing privileges,
It is.
especially when they're doing it at nighttime by the headlights of their vehicles. And
It's making the windows
somehow
of the house
we
rattle.
ought to at least let the people that are doing that know that, you know, they're endangering continued use of that, not only for themselves, but for other residents of the town. And if they continue to do that, then we will have to, you know, put a gate up and barbed wire fence and dogs and stuff like that to
And guard the gate.
guard the gate and that sort of thing. But, I mean, in reality, what we had talked about before was encouraging these folks that are hearing it and living there to call the sheriff's department, because the sheriff was here when we discussed that, and he said that he hadn't gotten any calls from them.
This,
So if we call them, at least it'll be on record and they can begin to monitor it.
this resident made it perfectly clear they didn't want to
Well, they can call
Get
the
caught.
constable, not, you don't have to say your name.
get a,
Call the constable or
Get
call the
them
sheriff's
Call
department.
anybody.
Well, the sheriff's department, if you call them, they're gonna have your number, unless you've got it blocked, and I don't even know if you can block
I
it.
know, but that's privileged information.
It is privileged, the sheriff
Yeah.
won't reveal who called. You may have to state
Yeah,
it.
but people may not believe that.
Well, you know, it's really hard to satisfy, and I totally understand it. I totally understand fear of retribution and all that kind of thing, but sometime along they're gonna have to take a stand, and whether that's complaining, you know, and filing complaints with other people.
I told to get a letter into us, a written letter into us.
But the thing of that is, Jeff, is if they send us a letter, we're not sitting here when that's happening.
Oh, no.
And we need, when that's happening, the sheriffs need to be alerted so they can go and confront the people. And while you shouldn't go in there at nighttime and confront people, you know, not me, I ain't gonna drive in there
Well,
at
it's
night.
not
when-
the select board is not the,
I can be a little proactive on this. I can talk to the constables, see if they have cards in hand, which they probably don't, but I can certainly make some up. And I can talk to some people in Harmonyville and pass out their phone numbers.
you know,
You get the constable's phone numbers on the website, and I can also put up a couple of cards around town. Public notices at the library, and in this box out here that just says the constable's phone number is. But I can touch base with some people in Harmonyville, and so if you have any issues, this is a number to call. And leave it at
And then
that. And try to get a word out.
also encourage the people that use it appropriately, know that they're gonna lose it if these other guys keep it up, not them, you know, do a little in-house stuff of their own. Everybody's gonna lose it because of one or two people.
Yeah, they're doing target practice or something up at the old dump site too, but only during the day, and it's not automatic. Well,
And
it's
this
not-
weapon saw, I
such
could
a
hear
good
it
place.
Saturday down at my house, just like they're in my backyard.
It's not down,
it's just a,
So,
Okay. Anybody want to take a quick break here?
You know, anything?
No, it's
I need-
goes right through.
this goes right through, we ain't got that much more, have we?
yeah, let's finish it up.
Okay,
You have to
do that.
I gotta do it.
Oh, right, okay. Is there anything here in particular that you wanted?
No, the only thing is,
Yes.
we gotta sign this maintenance agreement.
Oh,
I haven't looked into it. This is the duplicate, I think you have it. It's just the.
Actually, that's also
It's
the.
the agreement that was made when they actually did the,
Right.
so I just read it, I mean, I think probably.
From V-Trans,
To a,
at the last meeting,
At the
we
bottom
were
of East
concerned
Hill.
about what they wanted to do at the bottom of East Hill. Well, it's already been done. This is just, it was done when they rebuilt that bridge and
Okay.
It's
put it
just an
all in
agreement,
there.
it's
And that's
agreement.
just the completion, everything's completed. We sign off on it and it's done. That's
it's all.
not anything that they're gonna do in the future, they've already done
No
it.
wonder you couldn't figure out what.
That's why we couldn't figure it out.
You just spent 5 minutes and read it, that's what I
I know. Yeah.
That's the,
So sign it, mail it back and
Well,
file it.
I tried to.
I think all of us have to sign it, don't we?
No, I'm looking at the other, yeah. you
Is
do.
that a motion?
Yeah, I see the
Make a
front.
motion to sign.
Actually, I see the.
You should be able to get a motion it out this way.
Right off of there, I move that the town select board, sign a maintenance agreement between the Vermont Agency of Transportation and the town of Townsend, following the conclusion of construction for the maintenance and repair of the lower end of Town Highway 25.
Just mention that project number.
The project number is BRF-BST-015-1, open paren, 17, close paren. And whenever we take a break, I'll walk you through that.
Yeah, so I've got a copy of it.
Okay.
That is.
You want to sign that one or just? Don't
you know what I'm saying?
Today is October 15th.
Yeah.
Hold on, hey, that's due.
Oh,
And you did you want to do the compactor check quickly before you had to leave, or?
Sure,
was it-
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
From what
Is
I
that the
understand, it's in worse shape than we realized.
Is that the one that we're signing?
Well,
Or
this is the
No, this-
duplicate. We
this-
want the original if we have it.
I'm seeing if I got it. Should-
Otherwise, we can sign this and then
Well,
just.
what difference does it make?
that duplicate may be unless we have a duplicate sticker, that may be
Well, we can
a
sign this.
stamp from the,
Just
Oh,
kidding.
I see, it says duplicate on it, oh.
I'm pretty sure you've got the original.
Oh, I do. It's probably still in the envelope.
Well, we can still sign this sheet.
we can sign that
This
sheet.
one's no good.
If we sign this, you can just switch pages.
Pages, yeah.
He's got it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's-
here it is, here.
I thought it was out. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's that long, just flip the pages out or something.
oh, okay.
We'll just-
You can have that.
Here it is, right here.
We'll just keep the copy for ourselves.
Yeah.
It needs to be
That was a motion David made.
notarized
Did you
too.
second that?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
It
So,
needs to be notarized.
Okay, who, here's a notary.
Joe and I are both notaries.
Okay.
So while that's happening, just for information purposes, just for giggles, the effect of the transco difference, we will be receiving $1,904.91 less. That cost
That's what the error was.
$1,904.91.
Does that make us a receiving town instead of a giving town?
Does that make us a receiving town instead of a giving town? That is a good question, let's find out. I would hope so.
Is there a gold standard? All right, so we're going to the compactor.
Well, I just didn't know if Chad wanted to put some, I mean, he wants to go, but.
Put something in the compactor, Chad?
I do.
Yeah, okay.
Then you get the
Send it down to, we all swear we did it as our free
Yeah.
act and deed.
You can check the names on the cards,
Situation to-
just to make sure.
Do you want to do it?
Do we gotta be live? Say aye.
Aye.
We don't need a seal, it's just going to.
Freshman slip.
Okay, what about the compactor?
during the last Thursday meeting with the highway department, it was brought up that the compactor is starting to effectively come apart at the seams. The mechanism that packs the trash into the back of the compactor, while it's continuing to work, all of the pins are showing excessive wear. Where the packer is running against the internal sides of the compactor, it is wearing such that now, in addition to the garbage that is flowing past the packer underneath it, there's garbage that is flowing past the packer above it. And so that's what's causing, during the winter time, especially during the winter time, there are problems when the packer tries to retract. That so much garbage is building up behind the packer that it can't retract fully, and that so it's starting to run into problems. There's an increased leakage, and several of the welds are starting to show increased wear. So
I mean, I think we just put money into the Sterling. That was slated to get put in, right? I mean, the next year, the compactor is, or
Right.
the following year, why can't we just switch it?
Well, for one thing, because there's a whole lot more money involved in the compactor, I think.
Well, it's the same.
And
Well, I don't know.
And
the
I'm not
replacement,
sure that
How close
we
you
even
get.
really, yeah, how close that estimate is. I mean, that was, we put that number in there 3 years ago.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
this is-
Okay, well, but I think the real question is, do we want another compactor, or what do we want?
Right.
That's what I think too.
I think,
Yeah.
right,
Craig.
I think that question needs
Yes, ma'am.
to be resolved.
I'm going to appoint you on a committee with me.
And maybe Cynthia, she's not on a committee right now, are you?
We'll get you a name card
and we'll-
this winter.
To find out what, but
to try to figure this thing out and to look at some stuff to meet with Joe to try to come up with a recommendation here in fairly quick time.
I did talk to Kurt this morning, he thinks that compactors are available, I mean, whether you want to go with that or not, but he thinks they are available for, I think, 75 to 90,000, somewhere along in that range. I mean, my guess was probably twice that, and he indicated that they're not that expensive.
Are you talking about a roll-off type?
No, replacement for the one that we have right now,
Oh, okay,
and that's
okay.
about that.
My concern was when I read the computer is the safety of the thing, right, and the safety on the road. And I was wondering if, and I know it's urgent that we do something, and preferably before winter, which is gonna happen tomorrow morning or the next. But I don't know if, what's her name? Compactor.
On Mallory,
If Mallory would perhaps at least rent us one that we could use on the rubbish days. So we could rent a compactor truck from him that's safe. I mean, my concern is the safety of it right now. And I've looked at it and I've known for years that
Well, it's been, I mean, the
for
only
100
reason,
years we've been gonna replace it. But
Yeah,
if it's a safety thing, then we ought to see, at least if Mallory, he may rent us a truck. You know, you may have to drive down and get it in the morning or the afternoon, and you, at least to get us through until we make a determination post haste on how we want to proceed. Because I think that even if we decided that we need to buy a compactor, get the town's approval to do that, and the time that we do it, it's a time span. And I don't know how safe this current one
Yeah.
is for the
Well,
winter,
I
that's
think-
all.
before we went, like, would it be worthwhile to take it somewhere to Twin City or somebody and have them do an not over, but inspect it and
Assessment.
see what needs to be done?
Could be, yeah.
Before we spend our money just renting.
My understanding is that it's not worth a whole lot, even repaired. I
No,
mean, you
but-
wouldn't want to put any money into it,
well,
basically.
we
Not
did,
But if it cost us,
Yeah, but if you need to
Right.
breaks or something, I mean.
we did go
I
through
don't
the
know how that-
exercise there once of thinking of having that whole body
Mhm.
replaced once.
But the body has no safety factor trying to drive it.
No,
You're
unless
talking
it
about
falls
the
off.
truck itself, getting back and forth pretty much, right?
and being, being safe to operate. And
It did pass inspection though, and
It did pass inspection, and the concern that I was hearing was not so much of the operation, although there are some things that are starting to show wear. The majority of the wear is within the Packer body
Yeah.
itself.
truck it, the vehicle
The
itself has very
chassis
low
is
mileage.
very low mileage, and it seems to be
Still there.
still there, but it's the
body.
Packer, it's the body that is showing the most wear. But I think having somebody evaluate it and then
see if we can just buy a Packer to put on it.
see if we could buy a
Might
Packer.
be able to
to put on it.
get a used one that would get us by a used body.
So there's different, I mean, I guess there's different
Different
options.
options.
probably Mallory could check that out for you.
And it'd be worth, I don't know if it'd be worth trying to rebuild
He
it.
used to have guys
Well, we'll
in
find
the
out.
shop there, I don't know if he does now since he rebuilt.
It's time
Not
for,
really a whole lot to them.
no, it isn't.
That's what I mean, you
But
could
the
ask
sign of it
Mallory,
is
he
to
may
try and
rebuild that
push it.
one on there, you know, for a few $1,000, get you through a year or two until.
So
So
we
it's
can
worth
build-
asking, and Joe just said he rebuilds his, he
Because we
may.
haven't put much money into that since I've
We
been here,
haven't
and that's
done-
been 3 years
we
now.
haven't
I
done-
don't put much money.
Historically,
Ever.
we haven't put much money
So,
into that.
you know, I mean, I don't know if you want to put a lot of money into it, but it would
Well,
certainly
it-
move you to look at, have somebody look at it and say, well, this is what it would
One of
cost to
those-
sort of get you through for 2 years or
One of those
whatever.
things,
Well, and then get a town meeting, that could be something,
Mhm.
discussion about whether we're
Well,
going
we'll look on the budget and see. Budget is getting large.
Today was the deadline for.
I mean, maybe
to.
it's
But even
time
if, what is the town
Yeah,
consensus
gave you a
of keeping it
total.
all back?
New tax time change gets
It's gotta be pretty hard.
Gets out of the rubbish building
I
business.
don't know.
I mean, other towns have done it, but I don't
So
know.
the first thing would be to see if Mallory will look at that and see if he,
Also has a vehicle that might.
or would be willing to look at it and see if he can rebuild the compactor part. And if he can, at what price, if it's worth doing it.
I would think, yeah, he'd be able to tell you what it's worth.
Right.
And I think he'd be happy to come up and look at it. I mean.
They do it every
we
day.
work with him.
They're not just checking.
You
Check it
probably
out.
Look at it when they unload
Unload it, I was gonna say, when they bring it
Oh,
down
is he
here.
triple T tripping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
they hate that
I wasn't making the connection.
But if we call them ahead of time, say, you know, we're coming down, whatever day they go down and dump, could you know, have a guy spend an extra hour or
Or
whatever it's
just leave
gonna
it there,
take,
leave it there for a day or something.
whatever.
Well, he probably can tell you just by a quick walk around.
Would you like a motion to that?
Well, I think Hetty and Craig are gonna form their own little committee, that was just a suggestion. if they
Well, I would-
follow through with that.
I would back out the responsibility then to the commissioners, certainly have the authority to ask the truck be looked at by anyone that you decide, or Kurt decides, can assess the situation. It's not gonna cost much to look at it. And the arrangements would have to be made with the highway
Yeah,
crews
yeah,
in
with the
terms
highway
of
crew.
delivering it in and out.
Well, last
I don't think you need a
I
motion.
drove it to Bad River Bill.
It's not that big a deal.
Truck
I mean, if you're looking at $3 grand in repairs.
So we can talk to them and see if it's feasible,
I mean, I can
as
certainly.
far as the truck goes, but I mean, nobody's ever said it.
No, the truck itself is,
Okay, well, that's what I was concerned about,
the,
safety of the.
it's just that
The body of it is,
compactor end of it is wore out. That's got the most hours on it. The truck has very few hours and mileage is,
Well, it's got more hours than mine.
what, yeah, from just sitting there compacting trash, but
Do you want me to call Norm? Do you want me to talk? I'll talk to Kurt in the morning. and have
please
him
talk
do
to Kurt in the morning
Okay.
and let's see if we can get this
Okay.
lined out.
it. I'll let Kurt set it up.
see them. Okay.
Don't forget to
Is there
clock
anything
out.
that you want?
Your wages are high, don't forget to
Yeah.
clock out.
Okay.
Oh, look, you need Chad Greenwood.
No, I'll make sure.
You're gonna
Leave them here.
Do that with it.
Did you say bye to them? Yeah.
You can really switch
You
it.
say bye to them? Okay. Didn't hear you over here.
Okay,
Okay, fuel metering.
Fuel metering, some additional information was asked for and has been provided this morning, and I'm going to make sure that the vendor does not need any additional information. I am going to be, as we discussed in the past, because part of this is going to require wireless connection to Kim's old PC. I'm going to be cleaning the finance data off of her old PC so that it's not there. We'll secure it up inside the town garage and make sure that there's a wireless connection between it and the fuel island. And we'll just continue to move forward. I will be needing to put a key lock on the gasoline pump so that the gasoline pump is not readily available, but I'll make sure that the fire department has a copy of the key and that the highway department has a copy of the key. And whoever, because I think the tractor that we're using, the tractor we're using is diesel, so it will
Yeah,
have
it's
its own
very-
key fob.
Very little bit of gas is used on
Exactly.
chainsaws and
So anybody that's using
Right.
gasoline will just unlock it, and then everything else will be on key fob.
I'm surprised the gas is staying
I'm surprised that it's still
still usable.
usable. So, but it's still, we're still within the time frame the vendor was ordering the pump and getting the parts all together. So, life is continuing to move forward.
Thank you. Fire department heating system.
And the fire department heating system, we have looked at options, and we have looked at filtering, and Jeff brought in a small water heater that we're going to be plumbing into to heat the water for the bathroom, the hot water for the bathroom. Thank you for that. There is an additional, there's capacity in the breaker panel to feed that, so we'll be working with an electrician to get that fed. The consensus of the fire department is that the cost to switch over from steam heat to hot water heat seems excessive. So we're looking at what we can do to make that steam boiler last longer by putting filtering, and I expect to have by the next select board meeting more information and come to a consensus. I know that the steam valve for the boiler on the second floor, not boiler, the radiator on the second floor, it releases pressure.
Yeah, and the radiator's cracked too.
The radiator's cracked, okay.
Second, fin, or what do you want to call it, on that radiator's cracked and it's losing steam there.
So we would need to replace that. I know that in talking with the plumber, Tim Jeffers, he states that you gain, by switching everything over, from steam to hot water, we would gain probably a 10% reduction in the fuel cost. And by switching over to a newer style, the newer style of heater that he recommended in his bid, we would save an additional 10 to 15% in fuel cost. We also do have to dig that tank up, and the membership is about half split between wanting to put it inside and keep it outside.
You don't want to keep it.
So I'm trying to find a place within the building that would work for the membership, but would also, work for the town. So
Well,
it's,
I mean, considering when we had the hole in the roof and that fell on being the select board's problem, that we have final say is if we're going to put the oil tank inside or outside, I would think.
And the tank is full.
I want the oil tank inside.
okay. And the tank was filled with fuel, so we'll have to
But if you put a tank inside, you could offload the one in the ground
into the one into the
Yeah.
inside.
Use that one up.
And continue to use that one up until we get it done.
Yeah, we could go do this.
So,
But no, we want the tank inside.
okay.
I think just gotta find a place. And I thought over there where the air pump is to fill the air tanks on the opposite side. Gonna have a little bit of a job getting an oil line into the boiler room, but it won't be a big issue.
Well, and there's a set of shelving in the third bay, the end of the third bay, that right beside that set of shelving that has oil on it, we may be able to put the fuel tank. It'll just require the brush truck to be 2 or 3 feet forward,
Yeah.
which there's enough space there to put it. So
I mean, you do
we're
it.
continuing to work forward.
If you put it outside, you may end up having to run a mixture of carrots, and that's gonna bring the price of the oil up. You just don't want it outside, it just leads to another hole,
Okay.
and it just looks like hell.
Well, it
Oil
would
tank
like if you laid
outside
outside
the building.
standing up,
You know, it just,
and longer. Well, same time.
There are discussions that we need to have for the longevity of that building,
well,
but that's
One way
another
to-
discussion.
do the longevity is spend the money on putting it to water, and you won't have to work it in, it's over with. I mean, it's just,
So, but I'm working with Rich Snow, who's again a member of the fire department, and he's providing information, and you're definitely providing information. So between the three plumbers will come to a consensus and make a decision.
Okay, while we're on the subject of fire department, Joe,
Yes,
you're absolutely sure that you never saw a letter from the reformer that you gave to Charlie? Because he says that's what has happened every other year in the past.
I've had none come in to me.
Okay, he said often it was like August. It might have been a while ago.
But I take the mail up every meeting. I go through, keep what I want. If there's any bills, the rest of them, I hand them to whoever's running the meeting, and they do whatever.
What is, what
Yeah, I don't
Okay,
remember.
the issue is that lovely pullout thing, the reformer came out last week.
Saturday.
Was it Saturday? Okay. That listed all of the fire departments around and all of their members and, you know, honoring the firemen. Townsend wasn't in it. And the question was, did Townsend decide not to be, or did they leave us out? And my inclination is to simply, in a letter to the editor, say that the select board of Townsend wants to recognize our fire department and list the members or something that simple and straightforward. But I think it should be done. So if nobody objects, I will do that. Joe, can you do me a list of fire department members and officers?
Yep,
Great.
Charles has a new list. I
Okay.
can do that.
I'm sure you'll see me sometime soon.
Yep, he and your till here.
Okay, does anybody object to my writing that kind of a letter?
I don't know.
Okay. It just seems like a major oversight. And I did talk to Charlie about it, and he says he would be the one who would deal with that kind of thing, and he never got it. So, okay.
He was gone in August.
well, so, yeah, so I could have just got,
Whoever was running the
Whoever
meeting,
was
they
there.
have it, right?
didn't get that.
Well, either way, it didn't happen, and it apparently was not a specific decision of the fire department to not be in there. So,
Yeah.
I'll do it when I get a list from Joe. And we're up to the conflict of interest policy. Has everybody looked at it now? It's been floating around out there.
I looked, I didn't understand something, it just didn't,
Yeah, I didn't.
that's,
Well,
I understand it, I understand what it's about.
are we, I guess the question is, are we ready to talk about it, or, I mean, if there are things we don't understand, I think we ought to,
No, I'm okay.
we ought to be talking about it and answering questions or whatever. Are we ready to talk about it, or should we once again put it off?
I'm all set.
I am too, or do we,
I am too.
Okay. That's
Are you in too?
I am so,
You sure?
yeah. I just,
All I need to do is find it. Actually, I think I can talk about my comments without even finding it.
yeah, I haven't looked at it all.
I'm taking a 3-minute break. I promise I'll be back in 3 minutes. I guess we're all here.
I feel like every time I fiddle with my pen, it right through your ears. Does it?
I guess, David,
I have to get a pad to sit here. This is because my elbow's cracked.
maybe a little blanket on the
A
table.
blankie would be nice.
Of course,
It fell over.
we know it will be your elbows on it.
Well,
David, I thought that it was fine, except the creation of an ethics committee, which seems to me a whole lot of work for something that may not.
It is a whole lot of work for something that may not ever happen. And to be blatantly honest, this is a draft template that I pulled down from the state. So that if in some other towns, the town has come up with the conflict of interest policy and imposed it during town meeting. And as a way to make sure that it's controlled by the town, the state and VLCT worked through this creation of an ethics committee made up by voting members of the town who choose to appear on the ethics committee. They would have 10 names. They would draw 10 names, 5 primary and 5 secondary.
Yeah, I know.
So that if there was a conflict of interest, then those individuals.
What would be a conflict of interest?
Conflict of interest would be David voting and signing a pay order of which I'm getting
money for
money. If I decided to sell some gravel off of my land to the town, and I was somebody that was voting for that, that would be a conflict of interest. Listers, there are several areas of propriety and duties that the listers, especially where they are, would be involved potentially in their own property. They're not supposed to be, but if they were involved in that, that might be a conflict.
That's what the conflict of interest policy is supposed to address. In the event that happens, there's a complaint against it or inadvertently.
Well, is there,
If there's a complaint against the animal control officer, that's
Well,
what
is there
conflict of interest would.
a way to protect or meet this witch hunts or anything like that?
There is, and by having this ethics committee, it would be hard to staff an ethics committee of 5 additional members that aren't listers, that aren't, much like the Board of Abatement. They would not meet on a routine basis. So therefore, you may be able to get better volunteers more willing to sit and serve with this and to, lend the moral high ground.
I guess my suggestion would be that maybe at town meeting we talk about it and have a sign-up list and appoint that committee when something comes up.
And that's exactly, the sign-up list would be, as this pointed out, you'd find 10 people that are willing. And then at the time that something comes up, because
That was
You
my
may be on
my
vacation.
understanding of that. We don't we don't do that, and now you're on the committee for a year. If an issue comes up,
Well,
at that point in time,
You have 10
an ethics committee
volunteers
is,
that would be
Okay.
able to serve on that committee.
so it's not like a standing committee,
And
it's an event committee.
It
Who
would be
would
an
have-
event committee.
Control over that committee though, who,
That committee, when the 5 of them that are seated as primary,
so nobody has any,
In the event, for
vetting,
example,
any,
in the event that there's a charge of ethics violations lodged against me, the select board would appoint a ethics committee to do the investigation. The same thing happens in all of the professional regulations throughout the state of Vermont that's regulated by the Secretary of State's office. And I'll speak from the auctioneer's profession. If somebody lodges a ethical complaint against any auctioneer in the state of Vermont, then the sitting auctioneer's board appoints a committee to do that investigation of other auctioneers.
Peer review.
Yeah, peer review, but it's an ethical thing. So this board, if something were lodged against me ethically, this board would appoint a committee of 5 out of 10 residents, voting residents, to do the study. That's my understanding of reading
and
that.
this is no, these 5 or 10 people aren't, this isn't going to be a paid.
No.
No.
And they might not have authority to do anything other than reveal. the
All they
findings.
do
So
is
an elected
Reveal
official
the
is-
findings and bring it to the
If
select
it were
board.
a
or
hired,
something.
if it were a hired employee, they could bring their findings to the select board.
Well, they try to bring the findings to the select board.
That's
Well,
my
anyway,
understanding
yeah.
of it.
The findings would probably become
and that's
public.
my understanding of it, and
Okay, with that understanding,
Because it may change. I mean, you may be able to appoint a committee that can fairly evaluate an ethics charge against me, but not against Joe or the highway or somebody else. See what I mean? So it's not a standing committee. It needs to be
correct, it needs to
it's
be
an
able to change
appointed,
its membership
an event
as it-
appointed
well, I'm
committee.
not even sure that this should say for a period of 1 year.
Again, that is just a draft that was pushed down
Well,
by the LCT and the state, so.
You wouldn't have this committee on retainer. I mean, this would be something you'd have to go get at
That's right.
the
That's
time
my
of the,
understanding. And you may
the time
want
of
to
the
reword that.
charge.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, if
But you
someone
wouldn't want
charged
to get into
tonight,
a conflict of interest in looking for a committee after you know what the charge is.
And what they were recommending was that because this is written from the viewpoint of the town creating a conflict of interest policy versus the select board creating a conflict of interest policy, they were recommending that at town meeting,
Oh, I
10
see. So it
volunteers.
would be a standing committee of
But
10.
if you know what the allegation is, certain people are going to come to mind, in your mind, to ask to pursue
Well,
that.
this
And that
calls-
in itself is,
This calls for a public drawing of names.
that's what, yes,
And,
that.
you know, if it was
It would
against
be the same,
a lister and we drew another lister, I think.
well, that's what I was trying to
That won't
say.
do.
Well, and
Next
and,
name.
any of the, I feel that any person sitting on a government board for the town should not also be a member of this committee.
Yeah.
So you may want to take that policy and reword and rework.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
want to do that based on
I'll
our
do that
comments
based on our
tonight?
comments and get a draft back.
So we're moving with it,
have we
good.
had it? This town's never had it.
Not that I know.
conflict of interest is covered a little bit in the personnel policy, but
Yeah.
the buck stops with the board, basically on that,
So if
for
we-
hired employees and appointed individuals.
Right. It does not.
But it's not a town-wide policy, which is probably a good protection to have.
And it
Well, I
does not
think
cover
so.
elected officials.
It's a different day and age where you know,
Because your only
we used to
alternative
do on a
is
handshake, say, yeah, I'll buy this, or you can have this, and, you know, oh yeah, you can have that, well, it's, yeah.
You can't go back to that, there are things I
I'd
want.
like to. Can
I know.
Well, if we're
And
gonna go
elected
back to
it-
that, I'd like to go back to, fewer drugs and
Oh.
not as much violence, but I don't wanna go back to the Indian wars.
No, but I want to go back to cheaper tax.
Well, cheaper taxes, we can go
be
back
a
to
receiving
that.
town, so we
I
do.
want to be a receiving town.
Back when everybody made 35.5 cents an hour.
That's right.
Yeah,
Put a loaf of bread won't cost a dime.
we died at 35.
Okay, are we ready to move on to new business?
Yes.
COPS program funding,
We were
Oh.
hoping that,
that we'd have somebody from the sheriff's department.
Mhm.
And I think we've well covered the compactor.
Yes.
I will add here, and I didn't mean to add, I thought it was on the agenda, but it isn't. We did get a proposal from Rescue for a contract for next year. And I don't know if I copied the only parts of that for everyone for the last meeting. It came in the day of the last meeting, but we didn't take it up back then. But there is a contract proposal from Rescue Inc. for the next fiscal year. And if you want copies, I can put it on. Did you get a cover sheet on that? Was that in your file last week? I know you weren't here at the last meeting.
I don't think so.
Okay, it's up, I think, I can't remember the percentage. The different, it has, I'll make copies for everybody if everybody doesn't have it.
Is there a time frame on this when this has to be done?
On the rescue?
Yeah.
No. Although they'd like it back as soon as,
Yeah.
the little blue sheet says as soon as, because they're trying to budget, and same thing everybody else is.
Can't go over it, right? You just got it today?
Actually, no, it would have come in last week's mail, or before the last meeting, and I probably just copied the first page for you, because the rest of it is explanatory.
Did you look to see whether
That's right on the first page.
the cost of the contract is different from last year?
It is, and it's right on the first, I think it's under that blue sheet, the cost last year and this year.
Yeah, I don't have it here. This year is 2672, correct? Per capita.
She's got it there.
That's what it says here. The Travel Barrel is 2175.
Yeah, this year's is actually, the proposed for 2013 is 32,500.
It's 32
32,500
for 13, 14,
That's,
for
that's,
12,
35.
32,500.
And for, this proposal is for 32,919.
So it's not an exorbitant.
So it's $400
Yeah, it's not
more.
an exorbitant increase then.
It seems to me to make sense
I
to
mean,
do it.
that's what I'm saying, if it's, I don't know if right now is the appropriate time, but I'd make a motion that we enter the contract with, if that's what it says, I don't see that contract.
We are under other business.
But if it's 32,919 for 13, 14 fiscal year, is that what that contract says?
$32,919.04.
Which is an increase of $419.
Right.
I would make a motion, we enter in a contract with Rescue Incorporated for $32,919 for fiscal year 2013-14.
Second that.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed?
while we're signing that, if we can back up to correspondence, we received this correspondence from the Southern Vermont Rivers Conference, right? Just that can be added into correspondence, so it's a matter of record. It's a forum of town officials, road crews, and general public to understand the science of why rivers and streams do what they do, in relationship to our roads and communities and regulatory framework. It's on Tuesday, October 16th, from 9:30 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon in Wilmington Memorial Hall on 4 West Main Street in Wilmington. Free lunch.
Is Kurt going?
I do not believe Kurt is going, because there was a couple of programs this week. If that is on the 16th, then
That's tomorrow.
that's tomorrow, and driver training would be on the 17th. On Wednesday.
Driver training.
Simulator training for drivers.
Okay.
Put them in a simulator, make them play as if it's icy and snowy and slippery. Because we are getting ready for winter, and I think spending 30 minutes sweating in a simulator would be a good idea for them. You can learn a lot of things in simulators.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's too dangerous to learn out on the road.
I'm sure. Okay, under other business, a couple things. One is that Nancy, our town hall custodian, has told Anita that she's resigning and relocating. And she also has been working over at the grade school. And Deborah Leggett has in there, I guess they send out a weekly newsletter type something to parents, and she's including that in there at 25 hours a week, which would include both. Seemed more likely to get somebody than if we were looking for 10 or 15 and they were looking for 10 or 15. So if that doesn't bring in anything, I expect we'll be advertising for it.
And this position would be for cleaning the town hall and the library?
No, just the
Grade school.
Just the grade school and the town hall?
Right, and if we end up advertising for it, who knows, we may, I mean, the grade school may get somebody that says.
That's a 25-hour-a-week position?
Well, the two combined come to 25 a week.
See, she's doing that now, as got along.
Right, for quite a while.
Right, we didn't throw the gym in there, although she does that too.
But the grade school in their newsletter is suggesting or soliciting someone also for the town, potentially.
Yes,
Okay, that'll be up to
yeah,
town
So
officials to decide.
we'll see what happens with that. And the last thing I have is Jeff and I went to this lovely dinner last week, given by BCTV, and we were presented with this award that says Town of Townsend, Vermont 2012 Community Partner Award finalist.
Hold it up so the TV.
Brattleboro Community TV, and there it is.
2012 what?
Community Partner Award finalist.
Partner award finalist. Partner award.
And when I asked what that meant exactly, she said it meant that we apparently have gone above and beyond in making things easy for BCTV and working with them, with the way our speakers are set up, the way our tables are set up. Now we have signs.
Should we get another award now we've got signs?
I don't know. can say is I took the opportunity to embarrass Richard, said it was all his fault.
I did that right over the.
Well, that's nice. I mean, I think it's nice to be on TV. I think the residents, well, maybe not personally, but the residents of town, I hear a lot of positive things about it.
I do too. Oh, I saw it on TV.
A few negative when it goes black, but I think that was her TV. I don't
Probably
think it
was.
was DCTV.
Buddy wasn't standing in front of the TV, was he?
Anyway, Joe, can I give you this to bring in and have Anita display somewhere in the front office? I
I'm
think
gonna
that's
say,
Put
where-
it in there tonight.
Oh, okay.
don't let anybody steal it.
I was gonna say,
Touch it?
You want it in the vault?
Touch it again.
Historical Society should have that right on the shelf. but
Should. I thought it was.
It should be in the town clerk's office for a while. It's
Yes.
gonna make me jealous, but maybe she'll try it.
Maybe she'll come get on the screen.
Well, but it said Town of Townsend, it doesn't say select board.
No,
It doesn't.
it does.
So maybe they're
Oh.
talking about Anita.
They probably are. There it goes.
That was short-lived.
Anyway, it was a very nice dinner and
It was.
an interesting program. And Jeff did not make me ride in his Jeep.
You didn't?
Oh, God.
Trying to be nice.
That's another topic.
Well, I wasn't
You didn't
sure
go down
with
there and
my
talk.
eyes that I wanted to drive after dark, so I was at his mercy.
We did all right. We made it back.
That's right, we did. So I think, unless other people have things under other, or anybody wants an executive session,
October 23rd, which is next Tuesday, 5:30 budget.
Pizza, what type of pizza do you want?
Big people.
I will stop and get pizza.
No onions.
No onions?
That's all I request. Otherwise, I'll be in agony sitting here.
No
Jiggle the
onions?
microphone, huh?
last time we got an anchovy, when Steve and I were the only ones who wanted anything to do with it.
I will pick up an anchovy pizza.
No onions or anchovies.
Right here in the back of the
No
truck.
anchovies without Steve. I can't
No,
order
no
myself.
onions, no anchovies.
Okay, so I move
But you
to
don't.
adjourn.
We don't, yes.
Sure.